So why actually might you do a PhD in your 40s or doing a doctorate in your 40s? There's lots of benefits from actually doing that. And, these are things I just kind of thought about in terms of you might be useful for this, right? So one reason why you're doing that is you become a lot more mature and you've realized what you want to do. And a lot of people go through this, and that's a real big asset because you can kind of jump into what you're trying to do. There's also a benefit of, what's kind of interesting problems that people actually work on in the real world, and that is hard to find for a lot of people. You have those connections. Not only you have those sort of working connections, but you also have worked in, where, lots of people work on this particular thing in the real world, and that it should be sort of a relevant thing to actually take a deep dive into and sort of do that sense of discovery in that particular thing. And it's going to help you out in terms of teaching, but teaching is a small component of what you should be thinking about if you're going to do a doctorate. A doctorate is a research degree. So if you want to do teaching, I wouldn't recommend that route. It's just a really expensive route to become a teacher. I've said that many, many times. So don't do it for teaching. Do it for the research. That's what you should be thinking about. There's another benefit that actually happens because you're older, you're mature, and it's related to that sort of commitments I was talking about in terms of you have outside commitments. And that's where you have other things going on in your life which help out with mental health issues that you're going to experience when you're doing a doctorate degree. I know that lots of people that are doing a doctorate degree later on in their life are stressed out. I've got friends that are doing it at this moment, and it's stressful and it's crazy making. But at the same time, they're probably more better off for doing it now in terms of the sort of mental health aspect of it. Because that they have all these other things that are going in their life, and they can't just sit there and dwell on not getting that research done or whatever it is, right? I mean, it is there, and I feel that. I personally feel that all the time. It is there, but it's not as big, I don't think. If it was the only thing in my life, it would be a lot more challenging, I think, compared to, having all sorts of crazy things in my life that are going on at this moment. So that's an important thing to think about. The other thing, obviously, is you might have more financial resources. I'd hope you do at this moment. If you haven't built up financial resources to go to graduate school and you're doing this to advance, to make more money, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's a good decision to do that. You're not going to get the returns that you think from getting a doctorate. It's even if you do an accounting PhD, even if you do, like my field is really good compared to a lot of fields. Strategy is pretty good. You do a finance degree, you're just not going to get the returns. You're really not, because you have this opportunity cost of going. So that's what you're foregoing, those working years that you forego by going and doing a doctorate. So I wouldn't do it sort of for financial reasons. The reason why financial stuff matters, in the sense it gives you more leeway to do the things that you're doing. And I've bumped into people that are mega rich and they are doing a doctorate because they can, and that's what they did. They made all their money on Wall Street, and they do it because they want to. And that's kind of the way that you can think about it, right? Like, that is a great strategy. Not too many people are like that, but that definitely happens in terms of being financially okay. So, some people I know are management consultants early on in their life for many years, and so they built up a bunch of money, and they can sort of do that. Other people did the Wall Street thing and stuff. So there is that's there, and that's going to be the biggest reason that younger people are going to stop and they're going to freak out when they're doing the research and sort of go and do something else. That's because it's this whole there's this problem in mathematics and in search and learning, which is what I study, It's called the optimal stopping problem. You can look it up, and really after a certain amount of time, most people are going to bail on it, and it's sort of determining when you should bail, exploring and searching something. And most people are going to bail at a certain time, but if you have the resources to continue, often you discover more things, and it's much more interesting. It's going to be better off for you. So that's definitely a consideration to think about. Another thing that's important, and this has been really important for me in the last few years, is I kind of don't need the validation anymore from doing things in my life. You know, if you've been accomplished or you've done things in your life, you're not doing the doctoral degree for validation. You're doing it for the reasons why you actually want to do it. And that's a really important thing. You know, there's no reason that you're going to get status and stuff like that from doing it. So that's an important thing. The other thing that's kind of fun, that as you get older, you're probably going to be friends with your professors a little bit more than if you were younger, where you have this sort of status hierarchy thing going on, or power hierarchy thing going on. So that's cool, and that's really fun, where you can actually hang out and do things with your professors a little bit more. And then, you know, as I pointed out, the research that you're going to work on is probably going to be a lot more relevant to managers, because you were likely a manager, or you had that role that you know, you saw where things are, you saw where the problems are. So that's an important consideration with this. So in terms of would I do a PhD in my 40s? So personally, I probably wouldn't. I just think that there is huge costs that are associated with it. However, that being said, if I was, you know, at a place in my life where I didn't need it for validation, I didn't need it for financial resources, and I didn't need it for, you know, teaching and things like that, and I just wanted to just do pure study and exploring something, it would be actually a good option for you. Because you can go and explore and do things, and you talk to interesting people. I mean, people are geniuses, really bright people that know all sorts of stuff. That's really cool and fun to be part of that. It's super exciting to be part of it. So those aspects of it, those are really, really important things. And often that's why people do the thing that they're doing in academia anyways. We pay a discount. You know, if you look at the research, Scott Stern has some research on that. He's now at MIT. He was at Northwestern when he wrote this. But, you know, scientists pay a discount for studying the things that they want to do. Most people do that if they're doing things that they want to do, right? If you are doing a veterinary technician, for example, you know, if you're a pastor at a church, you're probably not going to be getting paid what you can in other areas. If you became a Wall Street trader, you know, it just doesn't work that way. And the reason why you do that is because it's a calling. And that's a really important thing to think about, that calling, or why you're going to do something, and you're being pulled in a certain direction. It's almost a little, in a weird way, kind of like a religious aspect to it. So that's what I would get you to think about. If you are pulled and if you are called to explore and do things, then yeah, it's a great thing for you to do. In your 40s. If you're doing it for other reasons, it's not worth it. It's really not. It's a huge cost. And don't take my word for it. Go and talk to other people. Likely they're going to say similar things. And I'm not trying to be discriminatory or anything like that. I just want you to sort of think about what is the sort of path of how to get there. Some people have been very successful late in their life, and you should acknowledge that. And so you could be very successful late in your life as well. You know, honestly, if you just want to do it and it's just for the heck of it, then do it. It's not a big deal. You're still young. You still got until you're 70, 80 years old, like 30, 40 more years to live a great life. Go do it and have fun that way. So that's what I would think about in terms of where you're coming from. So just think about why you're doing it. And once you enter the why, I think everything else is going to sort of make sense after that.